Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Personal Branding Secrets. And it's a Wednesday, which means it is an interview. So it's always a good day on a Wednesday. It's a long interview with an amazing personal branding guest. As always, guys, my name is Ash Borland, personal branding coach, helping you embrace your individuality and stand out from the crowd so you can build a profitable and, more importantly, sustainable personal brand business. Make sure, if you're new to the channel, to smash the subscribe button and ring the bell to be kept up to date with all the latest content. And check us out on YouTube, on all the podcast platforms, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and also all of our episodes are always aired live first. So this is, you can get us anywhere. So that's good to check out. So today's episode, I'm getting to sit down and talk with an amazing woman called Lorena Acosta, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I'm English and American, it's a different thing. Now, she is a personal brand coach who is absolutely killing it on LinkedIn. So I love it here. She says she is a personal brand evangelist. I can never say that word. This week you tell she's way more articulate than me. And her clients, my clients reassess their voices as thought leaders in the industry through social media. She's absolutely killing it on LinkedIn and currently has, on recording this, 1,221,137 followers. So that's quite a lot of followers, guys. That's a big follower count. So without further ado, I think we need to bring her on because she's awesome. This is a great one for you, packed full of knowledge. And we'll run the intro and we'll bring her on. Hello.
Hi, Ash. How are you?
I'm amazing. I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
It's really, really good. So, Lorena, I like to dive straight in. And the reason why I do is just because the first question I always ask all of my guests is actually setting you up to people to understand who you are. So the first question I ask every single person who comes on here is, what is your, and I call it your superhero origin story. So this is your background. How did you become, that impressive, when anyone looks at you online, it is an impressive resume. It's an impressive number of followers, and you've got incredible community. The comments, the likes. How did that happen? How did you become that? It kind of just happened overnight. Talk me through your story, your origin story.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm very grateful for you inviting me here. We both work in the same industry, and I'm very humbled that you invited me to your podcast and to talk about what I do and how do I do it. Yeah. Thank you, Ash.
No, the pleasure is mine. Gosh.
So, everything started 4 years ago. I've been working on the industry of hospitality industry for 27 years. I have been in different positions during the 27 years, and I'm a closer. So I've been training people to close, to sell, and I've been branding one of the, 4 of the biggest companies in the world of hospitality for the last 27 years. So every time I talk to a client, either I brand my product or I brand myself to close the deal. So, branding, it's more selling yourself, right? So you need to know how to sell yourself. So I've been doing that for 27 years. So what happened is that 4 years ago, I was working in a company that I loved, but I didn't like anymore the way that I was treating. And the way that I was treated, it was not something that was aligned with my values and my character. So I resigned. And, I'm a single mom. My mother lives with me. So after I resigned, I realized that I made a mistake. Because how am I going to support my family now, right? So I was worried. And because that was the first job after I get divorced. So I was concerned. And to get another job to make the income that I was making. So I remember coming to my house, parking my car in the driveway, and just stay there for 1 hour crying. because I was ashamed to come home and tell my family that I resigned, because they depend on me. So when I entered to the house and my mother was ready, to serve the dinner, and my daughter was coming down, my eyes were completely full of tears, and they were like, "What happened? What's going on?" And because I'm the strong one in the family, right?
Mhm.
So I'm like the one always push them and tell them, you don't cry, everything is gonna, But
Yeah.
when they see me weak, they get concerned. So I sit with them and I tell them what happened. Um, And I remember my daughter and my mother start tearing up in the table, and they were like, "Now what we're gonna do?" So then I feel a big responsibility, a more responsibility than before, because I saw them crying and I feel bad, right? So I told them, "Listen, don't worry, everything is gonna be all right. I'm gonna find a job in less than a week, and we're gonna be better than we were before. So just trust me." So they say, "Okay." So every day, I remember that was December 28th when I resigned. So imagine everybody was on holidays. At that time, the platform on LinkedIn was not active. It was a dead platform where people only post their resumes, and they were like probably few people who were active on social media, and one of them was Oleg Talal, and a few other people who were present there. They didn't have the following that they have right now, but they were consistent. So I started looking for my connections that I had in the past when I used to work in the industry before I get married, because during my marriage, I didn't work. I was a stay-home parent raising my daughter. So I started looking all those connections, and they weren't active. And probably if they were and they received my messaging, their message were in the junk mail, because
Yeah.
that is where my message used to be for LinkedIn in the past. So, so I was a little bit worried. I started sending requests. People didn't want to respond. People sometimes were rude to me and come back to me and told me, "Why did you want to connect with me? We don't have nothing in common." So they were rude, they were very rude, and I decided that I was not going to connect with anybody else. That anybody who wants to be part of my network, they need to request me a connection request. So that was the rule number one, because I feel the rejection and I didn't like it. I was vulnerable at the time. So, when they rejected me, I feel more painful. The pain was harder. So, I start promoting myself. I start writing and I start sharing things. At that time, there was no video. And I start sharing posts and no likes because I didn't have a following, and no likes and no engagement. And I keep posting every 35 minutes a thought, a message, our content, our quote. So I was posting every 25 minutes to beat the algorithm at that time, to get myself noticed. And it's been a journey of 4 years, but the first year was the hardest because I didn't have following. I started sharing what I believe and where my values are. And at that time as well, many people were fighting each other. That was the time when the presidential elections were 4 years ago,
Oh
exactly.
yeah. Wow.
So, everybody on LinkedIn were fighting to each other. They were calling snowflakes to people, they were insulting other people. Um, they were doing a lot of things, that they weren't that they were hurting other people, because they were not Republicans or because they were not from the Democrat Party. And, they were insulting each other, they were offending, and I didn't like it. I feel like, oh my gosh, this is like Facebook. So, because that's why we left Facebook, because all the what happened, right, in the past elections. So people start fighting to each other. So what I thought, I would like to start creating content that it will help people to focus on themselves, to focus on what they can change. I mean, we couldn't change who win or who lost, and why you're going to continue feeding that, and instead of feeding yourself with positive attitude and positive thoughts, and start changing your thoughts, because every thought that you put in your brain and your mind, it goes to your subconscious mind. And if you don't change that thought immediately right after you have it, it will come your reality in the end of the day. So I start posting things that they were close to my heart, things that I believe will help other people. I talk a lot of spirituality, right? So I talk about why it's important meditate, why it's important this, why it's important that, what they can, how they can change their positive, negative thoughts or positive ones, and what is the meaning behind why it's important. Like I just told you now. So people start listening and replying to what I was saying, and this is how I start building my community little by little. So probably a week later, I get 5 phone calls from different recruiters, that they were local recruiters from the same industry, that they find out that I resigned. And because I was famous, they were like, we want to hire you. So I get a lot of, I get a job right after. But what I'm trying to say is that LinkedIn completely changed since I started. And this is amazing. I'm very excited. And later on I start posting, mixing my content.
Okay.
So I didn't have a niche. Remember, I just came to find a job.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And I came to help people, because with a purpose, right? To help them to change their negative beliefs and to for a positive ones, right? So I didn't have a niche. I didn't have a need to have an income, because I was working and I was making good money, right? So I started posting things as well that they were close to my heart, like traveling.
Yeah.
I've been working for that industry for 27 years, and I've been in more than 67 countries, and living in 13. So I have been everywhere, and I've been enjoying food, meeting people, and knowing different cultures. So I start posting destinations, and people start following me because of the destinations that I was posting, the videos, the pictures. So people start contacting me and say where I can find somebody that I want to go to that place. I want to go to Bora Bora. I want to go to Cancun. I want to go to, but at that time I was working in the industry, and of course I couldn't create a business out of it, because I was having my full-time job who was supporting my family. So I couldn't do that. So, so I was just posting, and my following continued growing. I was mixing my content with what I believe, what it helps me, and also what is pleasant to me, which is traveling. So I create there 2 different audiences, right?
Yeah.
And then I start posting as well. I create my podcast. So people start, contacting me because they want to share their story. My podcast is not for famous people. I think there is enough podcasters who are making podcasts to interview all these famous people who don't need any more content marketing. But I want to share real stories from real people who are relatable to me, who
Mm.
can be relatable to somebody else, and help them with their story to change their lives or learn something from it. So I start creating my podcast with real stories, right? And then I had another audience right there. And then I create, then people start, I start growing fast and fast and fast and fast. And people start asking me if I can help them to to brand themselves, because they like the way that I was portraying myself on social media, the way they were people was perceiving me. So I start helping people, to brand themselves with what I know, and And then after few months, it increased, the leads that they were coming to me and asked me if I can help them, until, I say, I'm going to have to create something together of how I start and how has working for me to help other people to do the same thing, because it works. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously works, right?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it does. Yeah, yeah, it definitely does.
you know
I don't know. You've only
so
got like 1 million followers, so I think it's obviously doesn't work that well for you.
yes, I mean, I'm very grateful, and it's just, and the secret of personal branding, there is no secrets. You just have
Mm,
to be yourself. I mean, there is no secret on finding your true self. There is
yeah,
no secret to be authentic. There is no secret to be relatable. There is no secret to be honest, you know? So there is no secrets for personal branding. You just need to find the right coach or the right person like you
or
know,
you.
to yes to help them to really stand out of the crowd and out of the noise, and really reassess their voice in their industry and become a true leaders.
I love it. I love it. You're incredibly inspirational. I'm sitting
Thank
here.
you.
I butt in to so many conversations, and I just sat there so quietly thinking, "Wow." I think it's amazing. Do you know what I love about your story there? The intro to that and your origin story is it's very real. Um, I speak to lots of people. I meet lots of people, like probably yourself, in the industry that we're in, where you always sound like you need some sort of like aha moment. But what I love is that you found what you're passionate and good at by just being yourself, and it is formed in front of you. And your success is very authentic. It's very authentic. It's very nice. I can even feel it from the other side of the world through a lens. I love it. It's really,
Thank
I'm
you.
really, really, really impressed with that one.
Thank
So,
you.
so the next question that I always ask, well, I always say always, but there isn't, as I've said to you before, it's because anyone who's listened to this knows I heard James Mulvaney on, and he told me off for not having a good enough structure. So, because I
You
do
do
spot,
have a good structure.
now it's perfect. I promise you. um, so the next question I always like to ask is, what have been some of the highs? I mean, you've been speaking about it then, which is amazing. But to go a bit deeper into it, is your first of all, I love your podcast idea. By the way, I think that's incredible.
Thank you.
And I was thinking just about because I don't, otherwise I'll forget to say that, and people are listening. It's nice. I like to. It's understanding the purpose of your podcast. So I bring people on like yourself who are doing incredibly well to inspire others to that it's possible. But I think when you've got a platform like you have, to be able to bring somebody on who isn't that and to hear their stories, I think that's really, really it's an amazing thing. So I think that's really, really cool.
Thank you.
Um, that I
I mean,
do.
everybody has a story, Ash,
I
and
couldn't agree more. Yeah,
all our stories, I mean, not only the famous stories are validated,
100%.
and if you share the story from any of these famous people who sell their programs and they sell their coaching, or they sell their masterminds or whatever, I mean, their stories are not relatable to
No,
normal people.
no.
Like, I mean, I share probably 8 months ago a story from Manny Garcia, where he was kidnapped by his father when he was 5 years old, and took him to the United States from Puerto Rico after her sister lost her arm. So this boy never knew that he was kidnapped. He was abused by his father. He was physical abused. He hurt him, and he find out that he was kidnapped by being in the school, by having the lunch, because at that time we had a campaign here in the States. In the carton milk, there was a picture of each of the missing kids. And when he was sitting in the lunchtime in the school, his friend told him, "That's you." And then is when he found out that he was kidnapped. So that's an story where we talk about, don't alienate your children against the other parent, because the only person that you're hurting is your children. So it's not talking. My podcast is not just about marketing or branding,
Mm,
because we have to remember, Ash, that the people that is watching us in the other side of the screen are humans.
yeah, couldn't agree more.
And people appreciate what you share with them. And I believe that this has been one of the success, or the biggest success on LinkedIn for me.
I think that's amazing. You're so right. I, I don't even want to add into that because I think I would ruin what you've just said, and I think it's amazing. I think at the poignant moment I can just ramble on, but I think it's actually you spot on, and I think people miss that point a lot. Is that the clients I've won, and they're probably the same. I've won clients because of things. Nearly always, it's because of things we've had a chat on a Zoom call that I've opened up about something, and they've gone, "Yeah, I felt like that," and all of a sudden and it's not the metrics and the fancy stuff that wins people over. It's the real human connection, which I
Yeah.
think many people forget all the time. It's all about
Humanizing your brand is the best,
yeah,
because then people feel that they're, when people contact me, and I call them in by phone, they feel very happy that I am the person who is talking to them.
yeah,
They feel excited because they've been following me for months, and they feel special that I am the one answering the phone and talking to them. And I always tell them, listen, I'm just like you.
yeah,
If tomorrow I don't have 1 million of followers, I'm just going to be exactly in the same position that you are. So that doesn't make me different than you. And I don't want to feel that way. I never came to LinkedIn to become famous. I never came to LinkedIn to be in all these fancy magazines. I don't pay for PR.
yeah,
I mean, people ask me to be on their podcast very often. They ask me to write articles in their magazines. And I don't have to pay for that. They just believe in me and they believe in my message. And I don't have to be on all these PR
yeah,
things to say, hey, I show up in this magazine, or in this magazine, or in this magazine. So hire me. I don't
yeah,
need that. They look for me.
yeah. And that is the essence of a strong personal brand. I mean, that literally
Exactly.
is, it's when people are knocking down. My mum used to be a model when we went out before I was born. And when I was in the performing arts world, I remember her saying, she said, all the best people, as in the best in their industry, they don't pay for it. People come to them. She always said that because when people would say, "Do you want some new headshots?" and I'd be like, "Well, I need to buy new headshots for acting." And she was like, "If all the best, we'll get free headshots." I was like, "Oh, really?" And she's very right. She's very true, which I
Yeah,
think is so
because
right.
many of the things that I have done, I haven't paid for them. People give them to me because they want me to help them to promote their brand, and we
Yeah,
make an exchange. but but to be honest with you, I haven't paid for any advertisement in the last 4 years.
that's amazing. I love that.
I haven't paid for PR, or for being in any article, or I haven't, and I don't need it, and I don't want to be there.
Yeah,
This is not what I'm gonna turn 50 in a couple of months, and this is not what I came to LinkedIn, and this is not my purpose.
I love that. That's what we had Mike Kim, who was on the podcast just before the episode before you, and he said that I remember when he didn't say on the podcast, but on his podcast I was listening to it, and he was saying that he'd never once paid for an ad, just hasn't done it because he was like the same thing. He's a personal brand specialist down in let's say Washington, and he said the same. He was like, I've never done that. He said I don't. He said not. He said I just don't see the need. He said because I think it's counterintuitive unless I'm trying to sell something in particular, which he said I don't have anything that I need to sell in particular. I remember hearing it on his podcast, and I was thinking that's really powerful. Um,
I don't need to pay ads on Facebook,
when you're on
because to
LinkedIn,
begin with, my target audience is not in Facebook.
yeah,
You
it's
know,
interesting.
so I have enough, my followers are my best advocates for
Yeah,
my marketing, because they reshare my content
I know.
hundreds of times per day.
Well, that's how I found you because I did a thing when at the beginning of the coronavirus. I started because again trying to get some stuff off the ground. I was trying to get a new project off the ground. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go on hashtag personal branding. I'm going to comment on 50 people every day. I'm going to go and just, and I want to understand in LinkedIn, because I was like, I want to use LinkedIn, who are the key players in personal branding on LinkedIn? You know, I know who they are in this space, but where are they in this space type thing? And it's just you. It's you, but it's everyone is sharing your stuff. So it's just like, I was like,
Yeah, it wasn't me. I mean, it's the people, my following.
that's what
You
I
know,
mean. It's powerful. Like, it's everybody. Your stuff pops up in my newsfeed. And obviously, we're connected with friends on there, and but your stuff pops up in my newsfeed more, not from you, from second connection saying,
yes,
with comments on the top about how, I mean, this is the thing, like, you are the in social, I talk about social influence principles in my program, and it talks about like the social proof, and as you say about getting to the million, how it just keeps compounding. You don't need to write any testimonials, because every single post that you do, someone goes, she changed my life, da, 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 da. It's like insane. I've never seen, you are.
and if you read the emails that I receive and the messages that I receive on LinkedIn, I mean, you know, I think this is the reason why I continue on LinkedIn, even though that then I get my job back and I get a job,
Mhm.
and I was making $165,000 per year.
Yeah,
You know, I
kept
keep
going.
continue going on LinkedIn because the people that was following me was getting help with what I was posting.
Yeah,
And I think that become more a purpose than a business, because
yeah,
I used to start my business 2 years ago, Ash.
that's what I
You
mean.
know, I used to start a business about 2 years ago, you know, it was amazing, because when you receive all those kind of messages and comments, it's what that worth more than money.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
that's the question I was going to ask, which I think we've just spoken about it, is what have been some of the highs, and I think that's it, isn't it? Really, you think about how powerful your message has been, how people have literally. I would say you're probably one of the biggest influencers on LinkedIn, especially in this space. In this space, you are massive.
thank you.
It's really impressive, and I love it because it's so. There's so many out there, and I'm not going to ever badmouth any of them. There's some really good ones, but they're all different. But I love yours because it's very raw, very real. It's not over edited. I just jumped on a photo. You win me because I cannot stand subtitles. And you don't have any subtitles on some of your videos, most of
I
your videos.
don't.
And
I
I
don't.
love that. I love that. And I tell you why I don't like it is I'm dyslexic. So the idea of someone giving me, even though all the marketers, so everyone's listening to this, you can listen to this, guys. I am right, because she's got 1 million followers and she doesn't use subtitles. So shut up. Because the amount of people who tell me if you don't put subtitles on your video, it isn't going to work. And I stopped doing that and started putting them on, which makes a lot of effort, as you know. And
I
I was
know.
like, and I don't read them. So, and then you look at yours. I'm looking at like some of the stuff you've got. 500, and I've got it in front of me. 528 likes. The post went out like a couple of days ago, and it's got no subtitles on it.
No.
Let's dive straight back in. So, one of the questions I do want to ask, and I always ask these people this, and it's a bit of an uncomfortable question. Don't worry before you start, but it is the reason why. I'll give you some context behind it. I always ask people what have been some of the lows that they have faced in their personal brand journey, and the reason why I ask this, and I'll explain my side of it, and all my audience will think we hear it every week, but I think it's good for you guys to understand, and for you to understand, to give context, is 2 years ago, I was on my personal brand journey. I was doing this thing and I was building a business around myself. And everything was going very, very well. It looked very good. But from an outside looking in, it looked amazing. But from an inside out, mental health, my own stuff, all this stuff, it was terrible. Everything was falling apart. And the reason why I say what happened for me was it really hit me that I had a responsibility to actually share with the world that it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. So you're talking about your stories before, and that this Instagram versus reality concept is very real, and that the amount of people and it really hit me. I couldn't get over it because I'd never really, at that point, no one really cared what I was doing. And all of a sudden, people did care what I was doing, and they were bumping into me and going, "Well, everything's amazing, everything's amazing." And I was like, I was going home to my wife, and no, it's not. Me and my wife were, but I mean, like the business wasn't, my mental health wasn't, and it was all because I wanted it. I worked too hard. I don't know what was going on, but the reason why I say it is it's very important that people who try to go on this personal brand journey understand that with its highs comes its lows, and that it's okay if it doesn't all work out. You just keep going forward. And the reason why I bring people on here is to ask these questions: is what have been some of the moments that you've had where you've kind of shared some already when you're posting every day and no one was coming. What have been some of those, if you don't mind diving a little bit deeper into things like that you were like, it wasn't all great, but you kept going?
When my sister passed away,
Yeah.
that was almost 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
She passed away from cancer in the colon, and for me, losing my sister was very hard. It was something that I didn't expect. You know, her death was just too fast, so flashing. You know, was like I couldn't even swallow it. I couldn't even. I mean, you know, from having my sister, I went to grieving right away. So I didn't have a time to really understand what was happening and really, you know, put those thoughts in my mind and prepare myself for what was coming. So, you know, so I went into grieving my sister, and I was on LinkedIn, and you know, I was posting a lot of things about why we need to leave legacy, why it's important to be close to your family, why it's important to have that communication. And I started, you know, encourage people to start talking to their relatives if they weren't talking to each other. Because you never know when is the last time you're gonna say goodbye, you know. So all my messagings that I started posting up they were about pain. They were, I mean, I was not talking about my pain, but I was talking about my pain. It makes sense?
Oh yeah, completely.
So people who was going through the same situation, or their family was very sick, or they were on hospice, or they were like, you know, they feel that they had a platform and a space to start sharing their emotions and to be vulnerable, because I was there, and there were hundreds of people who were going through the same thing. So that really resonate with my audience, and I feel, you know, a big hug completely from the platform. I receive a lot of support, but I was not well.
Yeah.
You know, I completely shut down my social life. I used to go work in the morning and you know, cry in my breaks in the work, and I used to sit with my clients, and I will tell them that my sister just passed away, and I will start crying with them in the table, and I will close the deal because they feel bad for me, right? But also they like me, you know, but they you know, they will purchase from me, and you know, they will, because my story was real.
Yeah.
You know, I wear black for 1 year for my sister. I didn't change my colors. I couldn't just change it. I mean, I really live what is the true grieving of a relative. You know, people were saying, "No, don't wear black," you know, at work, and I was like, this is this is me, and this is my culture, and I want to do it for my sister. So I wear black for. I have a lot of black clothes right now because
Yeah.
I worked black for 1 year. You know, but you know, that was a very hard moment for me, Ash. You know, I used to come from work, and I used to say hi to my family, you know, reply to my messages on LinkedIn, post whatever I need to post, and go to my bed. And I lay down in my bed, in the corner of the right side of my bed, for 2 years every day. After I eat and after I went to my bed, and I just closed my social life and my circle. I stopped going out. I stopped dating.
Yeah.
I stopped, going meet friends or have dinners or anything. Everything was just my sad. My house was very sad. And I think the three of us, we embrace the grieving, and we help each other and we support each other. My family received my support, and I received the support from my mother and for my daughter. So it was very hard. It was hard to see my mother, you know, completely broken.
Yeah.
And I remember my mother when she came back from my sister. Um, when she died, she traveled to California. I didn't want to go, but my mother went. And, when she came back, I remember that day, I wake up probably like 4 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock and crying.
Yeah.
And I remember going to my mother's room and just ask her to move away because I wanted to lay down with her. And I want her to hug me like when I was a child. I needed my mom's hugs.
Yeah.
And I remember staying in my mom's bed probably like for 2 hours crying for the pain that I had inside. And I just want my mother to snuggle with me and to tell me that everything was going to be okay. I'm sorry.
No, gosh, don't be sorry. No, it's that's this is the type of thing that I mean. I think is that, to bring it, not to bring it back, but to bring it to, you're building this thing that's incredible. You're
Yeah.
building this
So,
notoriety, you're building yourself, and in the same time, nobody knows that that's happening in the background. I think that's why this podcast, that, to be completely honest, that's the reason why I interview guests. And
yeah.
it's not, is to, I think it's important that people understand. And that's why I said about your podcast resonates with me, talking to people who are to people not lower, people who are not famous, who Instagram, social media famous, is that we are all people and we are all going through things. You do not know
Yeah.
what these people are going through. And I think, I could 2 years ago, I could stumble upon your profile and go, wow, I wish I was you. And you go every day going, I don't. And only when you're in it do you get that. And I think
Yeah.
that's an incredibly, thank you so much for sharing that, because that is really important.
Yeah. So people, doesn't matter if we're human beings and we're all driven by emotions. So we have ups and downs in our life,
Mm,
but there are certain things that we can change. I can change and bring my sister back to life, right? But I can change, but I wanted to change so badly the way that I was feeling, but I needed to feel that pain
yeah,
and I needed to trust the process to really to resonate with why is because probably my story is going to help somebody else who's going through the same thing, so I need to be able to share it and let them know that it's okay to grieve, it's okay to cry, it's okay to be alone, because there is no words in the world that will make you feel good,
yeah. Oh yeah. I think that's
when you are going through that things. And also I lost position on my job, about a year and a half ago. They make some changes and I moved to another sales room, which I was not happy. And this is, was a very big transition for me to really take over and say, you know what? I'm not going to work for anybody anymore. I'm going to work for myself and I'm going to push forward my company and I'm going to push forward my content and I'm going to start creating um, my empire. And this is what I have done for the last probably 15 months,
yeah,
nonstop. But I have meet a lot of great people on my journey, and also I have meet a lot of people who just want to use me, right,
yeah,
for the number of followers that I have on the influence that I have on the platform, which I have never used it in a wrongful way. You know,
That's actually quite. And do you know what? You're the first person to say it. My head's spinning with that now. You just said that thing you just said then. That's quite interesting because you say that people would like, and actually, I think you're very true that people will.
Mhm.
That must be hard, and I don't mean that like must be a struggle. That because when people, you're saying like people reach like you've met some amazing people, but when you're successful, like when you've, I mean the notoriety, the level of followers you get. I mean, like Miss Queen Shay Roboton is like she's not even at where you are. She's like LinkedIn all over, and she's not a million. You are one of the highest followed people I've seen on LinkedIn. So I can imagine you get a lot of people coming, and like I don't know, obviously, but I can imagine you do get a lot of people who will go, "Oh, do you mind sharing that, or do you mind it?" Like,
I have developed a very good relationships on LinkedIn, friendships, not
mm,
relationships, friendships. And I've been supporting many people on LinkedIn um, by liking their comments
mm,
and or they're commenting in their posts. And not only that, by because they are my friends, I also give them a consultancy for free.
yeah, yeah,
I tell them what to do and not what to do. So, some of those people have forgotten
yeah,
who they were when they come to the platform
yeah.
and who helped them. I know
It,
I have a list.
good, good. It must be interesting seeing. So normally, like I said, we're kind of following the structure, but at the same time, we need to throw the structure away. We don't need a structure. We know where we're going. Um, so the final questions that I do ask, and it is normally is what are three pieces of advice you would give to someone who's starting your personal brand, um, which we will still do. But I would like to also know like what three pieces of advice or three things have you noticed that has been an impact for you on LinkedIn? Because I think LinkedIn is a funny platform. I find it very strange. We were talking about this off air, but like I do find it very strange. It's unlike any other platform I've
I
ever
know.
seen. When everything thinks like it looks like it's going well, it all of a sudden stops. It just goes, oh no, we're going to take that away. And I always ask people all the time, what three pieces of advice we give a personal brand? And to be completely honest, guys, if you want to know that, just look at your content because your content is all about it, and they can find you and they can do that. But what advice would you give for like if you're trying to build a personal brand on LinkedIn? Because no one I know has done. You have done it so well.
Thank you.
Things like frequency of posting. Like, is there such thing as over posting, for example? Because you said something to, and this is me being really professionally curious now. You said something which I love, is right up my street, is how you posted every day, every 25 minutes. Now, when I
I
speak
did
to
that.
people, which I think is incredible, by the way, that's I'm a big advocate of post till you notice me type thing.
I want to be here, right? Not that this is not gonna work anymore because they changed the algorithms.
Yeah,
But at the time, it took me a while. I mean, nobody was liking it, but I was posting every 25 minutes something
yeah,
until people start looking at me and looking at my posts. And at that time there was no like engagement pods, or there was no like something that
yeah,
didn't exist. All these people from the engagement pods came 3 years ago,
yeah. Well, they
two
moved
years
over
ago.
from because they've all come over from Instagram,
Yes, so all
isn't
these
it?
people came from 3 to 2 years ago, and they start creating all this mess, right? But that's why the algorithm changed
Yeah,
just now. So if you go to like any post and you just like and leave, you are hurting the person who wrote the content, because probably they will have only 12 views
yeah.
and 84 likes, which is ridiculous.
Oh, is that where that comes from?
Exactly.
Because that's what I couldn't work out. Like I see people and I've seen people like this, like where their views are very low. Even
Yeah.
myself, like that's what I can't work out. And what that means is people are just not what I was not watching, they're just pressing the button and running away.
This is what is happening. I mean, LinkedIn really find out the way to stop the pods.
Yeah.
And to stop, to really, help the people that is creating real content and really wants to get out of the noise. So what they did is that with the new algorithm, if you are in a pod, which I don't have a problem. I mean, I don't have anything against people in the pods. That's up to them. But this is not the way to brand yourself to begin with, because everybody's watching what you're doing, and that's hurting your brand.
It's also inauthentic, in my opinion. That's my opinion would be like, so there's a pod that was circling around in my industry.
Well, there is people who doesn't have another option. There, listen, I have a friend.
Yeah.
That this is something that you can share. But I had a friend that she's brilliant. She's an author. She's great, and she sent me a message 2 days ago. And told me, Lorena, I'm so excited that get my live video now, and I want you to be the first one to come on my live video, because I love you and I admire you. And and I said, sure, I can come. And I said, but you are in pods, and everybody who's going to watch me, it's people that they are on pods. Why you are on pods? She tells me, you know why? Because I've been ignored and rejected for the last 3 years from everybody.
Yeah.
They just don't like me. Doesn't matter if I go and engage in their post, if I comment in their post, if I do something in their post, they don't come and engage with me. So I need to go to a pod so my content can be seen by other people. And I feel so bad.
Yeah.
And then she tells me that she's been asking 2 people that I know, that I helped in the past to grow, because they came from zero. Okay.
Yeah.
And those people, she went to ask them if they could be in their life. And those 2 people, you know what they told her? When you reach 50,000 followers, I can be on your podcast or in your whatever. I was so angry. So, I will make a video today after we finish with this podcast, and I will tell everybody who has a podcast or who has a live video and they want to invite me, that I will be there.
Love it.
Because I don't care if you have 10,000 or if you have 4,000, if you have 1,000, you are important to me.
I think that's really powerful. I had a guy on the podcast. I spoke to him 3 days ago, but it'll be a couple of episodes back. And he said something very similar to what you just said then. So he goes on podcasts all the time. That's what he does. Like, he's got a business. He's a public speaking coach. But he reached out to me. Now, normally I reach out to the guests because I'm like, okay, you're who I want. You're who and it's because of selfish reasons. I want to reach out to guests who I believe have strong personal brands. And the only way I can tell I believe they have a strong personal brand is if they catch my attention. If they don't catch my attention, they're not got a strong personal brand. Do you know what I mean? So it's like a thing of like, I messaged you because I was like, I've seen you, I need to speak to you. It's the same with the other people. But this guy reached out to me, and I never normally, if someone reaches out to me, I'm like, no, because I don't know you, so it's not authentic. Again, it's not authentic. But he reached out to me, and I clicked on his stuff, and he was brilliant. And I was like, okay, yeah, well, he's great. So he came on. But one thing he said, he didn't realize that my podcast, it goes up and down. You know what the podcast charts are like, but they go up and down. Like in the UK, I was 14th in the marketing charts for the UK, and in personal branding, the keyword search, I'm number 1 on Spotify. So
nice.
It gets really, really good downloads. Now, he didn't know that, and I knew he didn't know that, because exactly like what you said then, because he said, I didn't know that, and I told him, I was like, I'm going to speak to you, and I've got Philip, and he was like, oh. And he said, honestly, Ash, he said, I don't really care. And I said, brilliant, that's good. And he said, you could have 2 downloads and I still would have come on. And he said, I
Me
speak to
too.
people who have studios, like I've got my own studio. He said, and I've got to speak to people who've got, he said, who are on their dining room table. And I said, well, I started it on my dining room table. And he went, and I still would have just as much enjoyed it just the same. He said, I have
Yeah.
no, and it really took me back. I went back I went to my house, I went back home and I spoke to my wife and I went, I had this great guy today. And he said this, and this is what you talk about memorable. I thought, a little bit of success can go to a lot of people's heads. And I was like, actually, and funny enough, I interviewed lots of different people today, and I was like, he was one of my favorite people, and yet I nearly went, who does he think he is reaching out to me? And it really made me feel. I was like, oh my god, like, and so I think you're so right. That type of thing that people wouldn't like. I wouldn't have approached you at the beginning. When I looked at your, I didn't realize when I was looking at your followers, I thought I'd misread it. I thought you had 10,000. Then I sent you the message and I was like, oh my God, she's got 1 million. So I was thinking, she's definitely not going to say yes. And when you said yes, I was like, amazing, because you're perfect. You're the right guest. And I think,
Yeah. I mean, you know, this is what people has forgotten.
yes,
It's not the famous people who's gonna make you influential.
no,
You know, it's not gonna be your title. It's not gonna be the amount of money that you have in the bank. And it's not gonna be the number of followers that you
yeah.
have. It's gonna be your humanity, what you do for others. What is gonna make you influential?
What I love this, the quote I always say to people is, and it's the Zig Ziglar one, and I always love that, which is, if you help everyone get everything they want, you will get everything you want. And I think
Yeah.
what people do not understand when it comes to personal brand, for me, and it's lovely to hear. Just why I say I love your story is, you're not from a marketing background, so your background is the same as mine. So my background came from performing arts and then into sales. And I think branding, personal branding, not branding itself, but personal branding, in my opinion, is not the same as branding as like the marketing world. It's a different thing. It's like you said, it's humanizing yourself. It's being connected, and I
It's
think this
different.
is it's
But
completely
but
different.
yeah, but the dots are connected. You know,
Yeah.
I've been in sales for all my life, but you know,
Mm.
I have my bachelor's degree on mass communications and journalism.
Yes. Communication probably being the key one there. You see,
Yes,
isn't it?
and but I never practiced. Well, I practiced that while I was on sales. But you know, right after I finished my bachelor's degree, I went to do my MBA on marketing. So, but you know, at that time, everything was not digital; was
Yeah.
completely different. But you know, the basic things still the same.
Still the same. Okay. Yeah. I know. I am.
So I remember a few months ago, probably a year ago, some of the influencers on LinkedIn, you know, she came and said something about what I was posting, and I went to look at her background, and I see that she didn't even went to college, and I was like, "Come on now! I mean, if you're gonna say something with a fact." I didn't
Oh
say
yeah.
nothing to her because I don't like that kind of conversations on my feed because
Yeah.
this is not who I am.
There's negativity, isn't it? I think,
Yeah,
kill them with
I just
kindness.
block people. I
Yeah.
love the block button. And you don't know how much I love it. And you know, I love this too. I need to show you this, Ash.
Oh, what is that? That's a fly killer. Oh, but you're in Florida, aren't you?
No, this one I bought it especially, you know, for who? For all the people that comes on my feed and leave their links.
Oh.
So when I go, I go like smash, 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 smash.
That's a really funny thing. Do you know what I can't stand right now on LinkedIn is how many forex traders and people who, like, you get messages and I think, did you even look at my profile before you sent me that
Yeah,
message to try
yeah.
and
I don't reply. I mean, all these messages that says hi,
yeah,
how are you? Hi, madam.
too much
Uh,
time, too much time. I always say,
no,
like, to
I just delete, 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 delete. Guys, listen, if you're reading this and you're listening to this podcast and you want to connect with me, send me a brief message
yeah,
of why I need to be connected with you. And if I have a space and I have a free spot, I will connect with you. I have no problem. I'm not, I'm all about diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
So
I
my
looked at your
following
profile.
is very, very mixed, but don't send me those highs, or I want to know more about you, because guess what? This doesn't matter that I'm single. And that, but, not because I'm single, I'm available.
Oh God, yeah, that way. Oh yeah, it's like a dating site. The bloke, like, yeah, it's the
Yeah,
thing.
right. Not because I'm single, I'm available. Come on now, respect.
I love that. The one I always find as well with LinkedIn with this is the as you say, like I remember when I first started, and I was like, and this might be the same with you. So when you very first start getting engagement, the other thing I notice is I don't get much. This is kills me. I don't get much engagement, but I get a ton of DMs where like, and that's what people don't get. Like, all of my business comes from LinkedIn, and yet, or and my podcast, and yet, like nobody engages. And the amount of people I'm like, well, if I and at times I'm like, look, screen share and go, let me show you my direct messages. I've had 3 today, and they're all asking about something to do, and they're like, oh, but no one really comments. I'm like, because the thing they've asked is too personal. They're not going to put it in a comment. They're going, how can you help me? And that's the thing that people don't get. We're too focused on this vanity metric of likes, comments, shares. I mean, you get lots of all of them, so good for
And
you.
this is something that I want to share with you, Ash, that
Mm,
because you are new on the platform,
yeah,
and probably you're gonna start seeing it probably in a few more months. The people that has hired me, they just don't. This is not people that just joined the platform.
yeah,
That people that hire me is people that has been watching my work for the last 12 months, for the last
yes,
6 months, for the last 4 months, and they've been seeing that my brand messaging and my consistency and what I'm saying haven't changed.
yeah,
This is the people that comes to me and say, I want to work with you. I
so
want you to help me
impressed.
to brand myself. I have people that has told me, here is my credit card. And I'm like, hey, you need to listen first what it's gonna be about.
Yeah,
You don't even know the price. She's like, I don't care. Here is my credit card.
it's
This
funny
is
you
the
say
kind
that
of
because
this is the kind of people that comes to me. And let me tell you something else. I'm not bragging.
go for it, brag. I love it.
I'm not because there is no need.
No, no,
I'm not that. I don't want to enter to that group of people that say, "Oh my God, I'm the best and I'm making a lot of money," because whatever I make is nobody's business except
100%.
mine. But you can ask Gina. Gina's gonna listen to this, and Gina is getting crazy with the messages and emails and Zoom calls and schedules for calls from people who wants to talk to me and wants me to explain to them about my coaching program. And I wish nothing more that I have for you.
I mean, I would like you are. Do you know what you are? You're incredibly inspiring for me. You've been one of my favorite guests to have on. I've
Thank you.
loved. I'm looking at the time, thinking we better wrap up because we're well over the time we were supposed to do. Because you are my, I am. I've loved it. I think you are an amazing woman, and I think what you've done is
Thank you.
incredible. I think what you've also showed is that it's possible with the work, the effort, the hustle, the grind. Everything you show is so true. And I think the thing you're highlighting, which is so lovely, is all of the same. Like all the things you're saying. I'm earlier on in my career than you, um, but these things are happening, which is amazing to hear. That's what you say is that the starting to get. I'm getting the messages coming in. I'm getting the where they're going. I've been watching you for 6 months, and I love what you've done. I'm like, what?
Oh,
And I love that. And I think that to hear that me and you are, and that I'm doing the things that you did before me, and um, it's been a real honor. It has. I could keep talking for ages, but it has been a real honor. So to wrap it up, because we will talk forever, because I can tell we're getting this connection going. Is where can people, if people want to work with you in your coaching programs, and the reason I say is, and people, my listeners sometimes listen, they're like, why would you do that? Why would I bring on someone who does the same thing as me and do that? But truthfully, like I bring you on here, and it's my job to then share your message, and it's my job to allow you to say that. And if my clients want to work, if my listeners want to work with you over me, I believe that's the right thing to
yeah,
do.
don't hire me, hire him.
100%. Listen to her. Listen to her. Listen to her.
Hire him. Hire
where-
him. He's great too. Okay.
Where can people connect with you? I'm guessing it's going to be LinkedIn. But where can people, if people want to connect with you, follow you, work with you?
Yeah. Well,
Where
you
is
know,
it?
my hashtag, which is the name of my company,
Yeah.
that probably we can talk about that in another occasion.
100. Well, we'll do. Yeah, we'll do. Your company's
Yes.
an awesome name, so you may as well give the
Yes.
hashtag.
It's Be Busy Being Awesome. And this is the hashtag that has been shared globally all over the platforms and is the name of my company. Of course, this is part of my marketing, right? So I don't have to pay for ads.
Yes. I'm
It
going to
makes
get it
sense?
up. Let's have a look at it now because I've got it while I'm looking at you. I'm like, oh. So your hashtag. I mean, I've
So
seen
if you
it loads.
Google right now hashtag Be Busy Being Awesome, you're gonna find me in Pinterest and everywhere, but not because of me.
You've
It is
got on
because of my
LinkedIn.
followers, because they love the saying of Be Busy Being Awesome, and
Yeah.
they related with the positive messaging. So when they share anything on social media, they add my hashtag as well. So my hashtag is being promoting, right? So yes, if you want to find me,
Wow.
you know, Lorena Acosta at BBC Being Awesome. That's my email address. You can find me here on LinkedIn as Lorena Acosta. You can find me on Instagram as BBC Being Awesome, as well as Lorena Acosta, or on Facebook with the same hashtag. So, you know, it's very easy
I
to
love
find
it.
me.
I am currently, because I've got like 5 million screens in this studio. So I've got different things up and I'm looking, and just so that people are aware that on LinkedIn, so on LinkedIn, anyone listening to this, to have your own hashtag is pretty much impossible. Very rare do people actually do it. And if you do, I know people have got 10 followers, 20 followers. It's very hard because obviously it's not nature. Lorena currently has nearly 13,000 people just following that hashtag alone. And if we took on the most recent, someone in 3 days, you've got like people you've got to see it, I think, people to understand genuinely what this is. One of these where listening to it, you're not going to understand. I've got it in front of me and I'm thinking, what? It's amazing. You're literally like, it's like trending everywhere. So
That's my message. Right? Was my message from the beginning, right? So be busy being awesome. Be busy being awesome means be busy doing something good.
Yeah.
You know, so that's part of my marketing campaign for the world that I love, right? And also, did you Google it?
Let's Google it as well. Let's get that all going as well. This is what's so good about having this here is when people ask me things, I'm like, yeah, let's have a look. So be busy.
Hashtag. You have to put the hashtag.
Okay, let's hashtag it. Everyone's going to be listening to this going, this is, what are you doing now, guys?
That's fine.
It's all right with me. Awesome. Oh, wow. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I know.
This is what's really powerful. This is 4.5 years ago. You just set your mind to something. That's what I would like to people to take away with this is that you put your mind to something, you stuck at it, and you know
You need to believe it, Hash. You need to believe it.
100%. Look at that. You stuck at it. You believed in yourself. You powered through the highs and the lows. I mean, you are an amazing example here for the questions of you've gone through the highs, you've gone through the lows, you've stayed at it, you're consistent, you turn up every single day, and you've turned what everybody wants, what everyone believes is this idea. I have this idea, and you've manifested an idea into something. And I think that's an incredibly powerful message to end this show with, is that just how powerful taking just that thing when you left your job, you left your job and you go, hashtag being busy, being awesome. And that's it. And all of a sudden, that one thing has changed the world in some impact for some people, for lots of people.
Yes.
So if you can do it, and I don't mean that if you can do it, anyone can do it because it's possible.
Of course.
Done it.
I always tell the people, if I did it, you can make it too. I mean, no, I'm not different than anybody. We have the same opportunities. You just need to choose
Yeah.
the
Decision,
right
isn't it?
things, make the right decisions, have a vision, believe in yourself, and believe in your dream. Because nobody else is going to believe in your dream except you.
Yeah.
Listen, many people laugh about me. Many people, even they make songs about me and my work. They were making fun about what I was doing on social media. And, all these people right now is laid off, and most of them are on furlough and they don't have an income.
Yeah.
And me and my family, thank God, are doing very well
100%.
because
The
we are
guy,
busy being awesome.
well, the guy that came on here for Philip Van Dusen, who's very, I'd recommend you have a look. He's a great guy, wonderful man. And he said, I asked him, what does personal branding mean to him? And it's obviously he's a personal brand coach and consultant. And he said, insurance. And I said, oh, that's clever. And he said, it's ensuring that I take control of my destiny so that I can control my income when it comes and when I need it. And he said,
Of
in this
course.
situation, and what you've just said then hits that so well. We're gonna have to wrap it up. I could speak to you for ages, but this will be a 2-hour special. But we definitely need to bring you back on in the new year another
You come
time.
to me, you come to my podcast.
Oh yeah, I'd love to. I would love
Of
to.
course.
Oh my gosh, I'd love to, but we will just talk forever. I'm going to run out the intro now, and then we can chat off there. Okay, see you later. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hello, guys. So that was Lorena. I always can never pronounce her name properly, but how amazing is she? I always have to try and sort this out at the end when I'm trying to bring in the pre-recorded part of the interview, and I'm getting better at it as time goes on. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode there. There's a ton of value. I'd highly recommend that you follow her and check her out. She's super awesome. She is busy being awesome, as you can tell. But I would highly recommend you check her out. So just to follow up from today's episode, guys, as always, make sure if you are new to the channel to smash the subscribe button, ring the bell to be kept up to date with all the latest and greatest content. Also check us out on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and we're live. So thank you so much for everyone who turned up live today. As always, every video is always live first before it goes out anywhere else. So you get it first. So if you watched it live or you're watching a replay of the live, throw that in the comments, hashtag replay or hashtag live. That'd be great to see. And make sure if you are trying to build your personal brand business and you want to take it to the next level, check out my free courses. I have a ton of free resources currently rolling out in 2021. We've got Optimize to Generate Business on LinkedIn, which is a free course that talks all about how to use LinkedIn to your advantage. We've literally got Social Media 101, which is a basics guide to social media, ground zero. If you don't know anything about it, it's going to help you navigate that minefield. But we've also got personal branding audits currently available, subject to availability, because they are 1-to-1, 1 hour 1-to-1 audits with myself that are very much for limited time only, purely because of this coronavirus. I'm giving out these audits to try and help small businesses, see if we can help them navigate that crazy time. And also a free personal brand ecosystem workshop, which is going to be announced fully very soon. So stick around for that. That is free. It's a 90-minute interactive workshop where we work on Zoom, where we're going to talk through your ecosystem. It's definitely not one you want to miss. So check those out. If you want to take your brand to the next level, check out Personal Branding Basics. This is my paid basics course that focuses on the 2 foundations and 2 principles of personal branding: consistency and clarity. And it is normally selling at £89. But because of coronavirus and because of everything, we're literally launching it. You can use the code. I don't know if I have the code on here. Let's see. I think I may have deleted the code. I deleted the code. So if you have the code, use the code LAUNCH50, LAUNCH 50. You get 50% off that product, because again, coronavirus, I want to make sure that you guys all get all the tools and resources you need to catapult your business in this lockdown 3.0, which I quite like that name. It's quite a funky name. So as always, guys, my name is Ash Borland, personal branding coach, helping you embrace your individuality and stand out from the crowd so you can build that profitable, more importantly though, sustainable personal brand business. I'm going to see you next time. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
say that I hardly recognise who I am now for the work that I've done with him.
And he really understood what it was that my business required in order to start taking it to the next level.
Ash has given me the basic knowledge of content creation, allowing me to feel comfortable on camera.
You're wanting someone to help you with your business, and especially personal branding. Ash will help. Ash can help. He's done wonders for me and my business.
It was absolutely awesome. I came away with so much knowledge that I'm ready just to take on the world.
Recommend joining Ash Borland's Personal Branding Mastery Programme if you want to grow your business, generate more sales, or just aspire to be social media famous.